Good afternoon, everyone. Russia has a river running red right along with the Nile River. What's happening? Flooding, hail. Saudi Arabia, 1947, $2.50 worth of groceries. Random views, 1700s, large doors. Saturn rings will disappear from view March 2025. Will they really, or won't they? And wanted to start you off here with this suddenly bevy of rivers turning red across the planet. Russia now has a beetroot red. A mystery pollutant or something else? Will the test results really come out? Now river turning red as well. Excuses abound. It was the red algae bouncing off the swamp gas, and that was Venus over there reflecting off the full moon. And it was just a tinge of the water because it was so clear, because of all the efforts we made to clean up the planet. We're just not used to seeing red. In Portugal either. What is it with the redness? Maybe it's the amber waves of grain. Minister of Agriculture, Russian Federation, going to supply 200,000 tons of wheat to Africa free of charge. Oh yeah, that's called relationship building. And so far the first two ships carrying a total of 50,000 tons already left to Somalia and Burkina Faso. Each one of those ships, 25,000 tons. It's going to be processed in Turkey first, and then total. So it looks like about 6 more ships will be leaving in the next week or so. Now staying with Africa, I really like this here. Namibia established its first community seed bank. This is off the Environmental Investment Fund. What they're trying to do is save all the heirloom species that still exist that have not been consolidated and purposefully destroyed like so many other places on the planet. Svalbard is another repository, and the number 2 largest seed bank in the world is in Taiwan, of all places. But Namibia is going to be giving it a go here. 14 regions depositing seeds. Nice. And for those of you following me on Patreon, where I'm now putting up exclusive videos along with slide decks over there, covered some of this, as well as what the rare earth minerals were going to be pulled out of, and the full amount of 39% of new hard rock minerals coming out of Africa. So you can see why all of the coddling between China and Russia to bring Africa under its belt to make sure it has minerals for its progression forward. The West will not be allowed in that group. So join me on Patreon /Adapt2030 and Subscribestar also /Adapt2030, where I talk about issues that I just can't talk about on YouTube. And I do deep dive, I mean deep, on those videos in there, uncensored. Also talking about the flooding in Saudi Arabia and the hail as well. Al Jawf region. And we've seen some hail last year in this same exact region. So is it a new weather pattern setting up there? Not sure. Third year in a row. From never before to third year in a row. That's up near the border with Jordan. Now if we look over here in Dubai, United Arab Emirates, continuous flooding year after year. Again, is it a new weather pattern setting up? Because obviously their drainage system is not anywhere remotely close to what they built the specs for. Now when you're building a city, you're planning for it. You're building for a certain amount of rainfall that comes down on an average basis, probably 50% or even doubling that amount. But what we're seeing coming down now across the Middle East is on like 4, 5, 6 times more rain. So don't blame the engineers. Blame the grand solar minimum. Our national debt is a real world problem. Our government spends more in interest payments than it does funding the Pentagon. In 2010, our debt, $13 trillion, gold 1,000 an ounce. 2020, the debt was $23 trillion and gold was $1,500 an ounce. 2023, $33 trillion U.S. debt, and now $2,000 an ounce for gold. Call the proud Americans the Patriot Gold Group today before it's too late. Mention the Adapt 2030 channel. You're going to get some great in-class service Also, Patriot Gold Group has a no fee for life IRA where your IRA or 401k can be in physical gold or silver. No fee for life IRA on qualifying rollovers. Give them a call, 888-546-7020. And now on with the video. Left side Pakistan. Look at all the hail in there. You can see some sort of vehicle going to be driving through. And severe flooding in Mogadishu. That is in Somalia. And those tuk-tuks getting swept downstream there. Also incredible amounts of snow coming down in France. So 150 centimeters for those of you in the U.S. is 5 feet. So it's 30 centimeters for 1 foot. So 5 times 3, 15, or 30 times 5, 150. So 5 feet of snow in a single snowstorm. That's incredible. And also speaking of that's incredible, a woman in 1947 poses with $12.50 worth of groceries. I look at that and say, I understand. Oh, I see the cane sugar. I see the pasta. In the front, look at those meats that have been wrapped in the butcher paper. Then behind, we got canned, whatever, fresh vegetables. And that is really an enormous amount of food. Can you imagine if we could buy that for $12.50 today without the deflation in the U.S. dollar? How easy our lives would be? I mean, you look at that right there, and today you're to $200-300 for that in many a place. Here's an example. $40 in the middle of nowhere, South Carolina. Well, hey, my friend, go to somewhere different and buy your food. You could probably do a lot better by getting some things and pulling from a supermarket, creating your own sandwiches, just saying. But The Guardian is just saying some ultra-processed foods are good for your health. Now, I was told the opposite when I was growing up, that highly processed foods, not so good for you. But, well, you know, it's changing. Bread and cereals are actually reduce some risk because they contain fiber. And I'm wondering what kind of fiber that is. Is that cellulose plant fiber from sugarcane bagasse, or is that actually the fiber contained within the cereals themselves? Ultra-processed foods, but also people keen to lower their I guess, overall health risk should replace some, but not all, ultra-processed foods in their diet, or follow the Mediterranean diet. So hey, why don't we just follow the Mediterranean diet? Make our own breads in the morning, healthy oils throughout the afternoon, different combinations of fish and meats, living healthy. Don't forget those olives and the, red wine as well. That's the way to live. And just a stamp of approval for you right here. These companies oppose labeling of GMO. Pick your favorite company and your favorite product, and it probably contains bioengineered foods. Remember, they had to do the name switcheroo on that. Genetically modified is now bioengineered. Buyer beware. Also, buyer beware right here. Last year marked the 200th anniversary of Karl Marx being born. Now here, this is a top 5 list of nations where communism/socialism brought prosperity. I will let you fill this one in. And moving over to prosperity. Heyumarka, the gate of the gods. Now apparently the way this gate operates is before there was a sacred gold object which you plugged into that hole. Now I'm wondering today if we could use a 1-ounce gold round or something very similar and plug it in the hole. Then what you did was you laid your forehead against that and you started to do some sort of single syllable chant, whether it was Om or Va or Sa. And a combination of these would then open that portal for you and you would disappear into a different dimension. And there's a lot of these different types of portals around. One of the most famous ones is in the treasury in Petra. So it wasn't the treasure in physical gold you were looking for, it was the treasure to be able to transit to the other side and commune with God or the beings in different dimensionality. That was the true treasure. Not a physical thing, an ethereal. So anyway, I was looking at that and I thought, Let's jump over to Google Earth, which I did, and there's only 2 formations of stone like this around in the area. So I decided to jump up to the northern formation of stone because it had really unique morphology there. It's only 4.17 kilometers, so about 2.5, not even 3 miles away from the Gate of the Gods. Start looking there, and lo and behold, I see, what is this carved into the top of the rock, or the actual peak of that mound there? Obviously somebody recently has used it for sort of a storage, water storage, and then taking that irrigation down to the fields. But I am sure that was not the original use for that. How do you collect water on the top? Usually you collect water on the bottom after it runs off. And then widening out, if you look at the top left, you'll see another one of those dug out. What would be, I don't know, you tell me. I'm very curious what these 2 formations are. If anybody knows, please leave it in the description box below or in the comment box. It's a mystery in itself. And speaking of unusual construction, I'll just let your eyes feast on these. Pictures worth 1,000 words. We don't build like this any longer. I'm wondering how thousands of years ago, plural, they were able to construct this, looking very similar to what I was just talking about, Petra. And if we come back to the 1740s, they had enough time to build something that we can't reconstruct or even repair in today's age. They called it a what? University now, asylum, whatever, put your nomenclature to it. But I will direct you to the front doors. Those large archways are definitely far, far, far larger than humans, which would probably enter from those very small doors to the right. So what were those large doors for, is the question. The builders, which we cannot replicate today, and then the Antiquitech just draping on the spires, the resonance fields. I'm going to call it what it is, Antiquitech. Which brings us to Saturn and Saturn worship and all these things in the past. Saturn rings will disappear from view in March 2025. Scary headline. And then all we do is look over in December 1994, May 1995. It's just a rotation of Saturn in the way that it faces Earth, with and without rings. It's the shadows cast by the sun, and also the obliquity and the tilt of our planets as we rotate past each other in the orbits, and enough turns and cycles around, and it gets to this magic no ring. And I'm wondering, with the magnetic anomaly coming in 2024 in October, if this will cause Saturn to glow brighter anyway. Luminescence increase across Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. Inbound. You think that would be another sign in the heaven? Signs in the skies that we'd be looking for on long duration, long-term cycles that would warn us that cycle's back again. History's murky, but it provides a glimpse of the truth and where we're going from this point. So I do thank you for watching. Hope you got something out of the video. See you next time. Bye for now.